Ladies and gentlemen, the show we've all been waiting for, Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present REP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts, Kim Purvis and Allison Robinson. Live every Thursday night on Spreaker, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Be sure to check out their Facebook page, REP Paranormal Busters.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to another night of RAP Paranormal and Friends. We are welcoming back Keith Evans, who is the author of The Hayes House Ghosts Are People Too, and he's also a paranormal investigator, so welcome back. Yes, how are you doing? Very good, very good. So for the listeners who may not know who you are, can you kind of give a little bit about yourself, a little bit of background? Mm-hmm. Okay, very nice. And you use the flare and the obelisk quite a bit in all the videos that I have watched. Is those kind of like your favorite go-tos, or? Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit. They're having a hard time hearing you.
We're not getting nothing down here.
That's when. Oh yeah. Let me try. Let me try something here. Shit. Let's see here. You can hear us? Yeah, for some reason now all of a sudden it's saying that our sound is disabled, so hang on a second. I'm just trying to work with some of our sounds here, but I'm going to have, Kim, do you have the picture of that?
I'm getting there.
Okay. Let's see. Test. No. For some reason, one of our mics isn't working, so I'm trying to figure this out real quick here.
Is there anything I could do on my part?
Do you, let's see here. That's the top one.
Okay, then.
Stereo mix. Okay, let's try it. Nope, I'm still not getting...
We'll have him talk so we can see.
Okay, go ahead and try now.
Can you hear me now?
There it is.
Okay, there it goes. There we go. Now they can hear you. For some reason, every now and then, I have to get off of our setting and then go back to it, and then it starts. I don't know why it does that. It just decides to do it sometimes. So if you kind of want to just go back, because I don't think they heard what you said, if you can just go back a little bit and kind of give them that information again on kind of how you got started and how long you've been doing it.
You want me to start back that far?
Yeah, because I don't think it's kind of delayed in here, but I don't think they were able to hear you from what they said. So,
I see.
Yeah.
Well, when I was 4 years old, I started to realize that I was an empath. I didn't know what the word was at the time. I learned that later on in life. But I would always, anything that was old and very decorative, it was like I could feel that a past person who had already passed away had actually loved that, enjoyed that. For instance, like a decorative wooden furniture, any type of decorative wood in an old home. It was like I was feeling the joy that had brought the past owners when they were alive. You know, that might have been the center piece of their house that they were very proud of. And I was like feeling that, that joy. If I want to cheer up, I'll just go into an antique shop and I can feel all of the joy that all the antiques have brought people. Even if it's an antique shop that doesn't have anything that I personally enjoy, I can still pick up on that. So that's how I really got into paranormal. I realized there was something else going on, and I couldn't find anyone in my family that shared that same interest, So I, from there, I pretty much just did paranormal just by talking and listening and waiting for a noise or a sound or a subtle movement. Throughout my paranormal experiences, I've never ran across nothing evil or demonic. I'm not saying it's not out there. There's good and evil living people.
Right.
I'm sure there's good and evil dead people. But throughout my travels, I've been very lucky to find ghosts and spirits that are more like the guardian angel type. And I'm kind of blessed to have that. So I didn't start using paranormal equipment until around 2012. And I started out with the Millimeter, the Obelisk 4. Now I have an Obelisk 5B. And I also used the Flare thermal imager. So
yeah.
To fast forward it, because I don't think some of the paranormal stuff I did prior to 2012 would interest today's group of paranormal.
Yeah, and so like I was saying, in a lot of your YouTube videos, you do use the obelisk and the flare gun. And what location have you been at? I know there's been like a picnic table, but what is the significance of that area and how did you come about that?
Well, when I was growing up, mainly in the 60s and early 70s, most of your summertime meals like Labor Day and 4th of July were outside on the picnic table. And the picnic table today, I think, has kind of lost its intrinsic value of being the gathering place of families and friends. But that was like the main place where most of your summertime holidays were spent.
Right.
So I just wanted to see, it was a rather older picnic table, and I just wanted to see if there would be any ghosts or spirits hanging out there, because that might have been the place where they had some good memories, So I decided to try a picnic table and see what would happen.
Right.
And I think I got pretty good results.
Have you come across any names, or do you think you know who might be hanging around that area?
I have received names, but gosh, I can't remember every name. Did I link it to a person that had lived there? No, because that area around World War II was just a vacant lot. And during World War II, it was used as a location where troops would train or maybe have their graduation. But it was not, at least prior to World War II, it might have been occupied. But from World War II, it really wasn't a private residence. So I don't have any way of linking a name to the property.
Right. That's true. All right. And I know... go ahead.
That was one location where, with the FLIR thermal imager, the TG-165, that I was aiming it at my obelisk 5B just to see if, when a ghost or spirit chooses a word from the obelisk 5B, if the thermal imager could detect any type of increase or decrease in temperature. And at times it was almost like there was a warmer temperature, and it seemed to kind of like move from side to side. I wasn't able to figure out, other than it was something between the obelisk 5B and the tip of the thermal imager, but it was definitely pinkish or light red. But it was warmer than most areas, so I didn't get a cold spot in that case. And it looked like it. I don't think it was actually within the obelisk 5B. It seemed to be something in the space or air between the obelisk 5B and the lens on my thermal imager. But that was interesting. I figured I would get a cold spot. So getting a warm spot, it was almost like a ghost or spirit was letting me know that they're there checking the obelisk 5 out. And I truly believe that not every ghost or spirit knows how to use the obelisk 5.
Right.
I think it's sometimes they're examining it and thinking it. Unless you have a ghost or spirit that was very good at physics or electronics or was an engineer major, they may not know how to use the obelisk 5B.
Yeah.
Where most ghosts, just being close to the millimeter, it'll detect them just by being close to it.
Yeah, I about choked. I about choked Kim just a minute ago. I accidentally hit her cord on her headphones. I had it stuck on my pen.
Uh-oh.
Trying to
she's
kill me.
okay.
She's good. Yeah, she's good.
That's good.
I'm just writing down questions. We have quite a few in chat, so we'll get to those here in a little bit. But I know that we were going to kind of talk a little bit about, since we ran out of time last time, about St. Augustine.
Yes. I did Did you have a certain question?
No. I just kind of want to know about it in general. I don't know anything about it. I've heard that St. Augustine is kind of an area that's kind of known for being haunted, but I don't know a whole lot about any of those things. So.
Yes, it's a town. It's been incorporated as a town since about, I think, 1565. And there's been someone living there from that time on. And it's very good as far as paranormal. It's very difficult to get written permission to do paranormal research in that area. Mm-hmm. But if you're just out walking down the street, you'll get word on your obelisk 5B. I remember 2 summers ago, maybe 3 summers ago, I was out with my Obelisk 5B, and I was walking back to the motel, and there was a gentleman and a lady walking towards me, and she had on a really lacy type short white dress. And I thought to myself, I'm so tired. I just want to get back and lay down because I didn't feel too good. But, I thought, well, anyway, I'll just continue to walk on by. And guess what my Obelisk 5 said?
What?
Really loud. The Obelisk 5 said, check her out. I turned around to see who said that. Because when I turned around, I thought some tall man. It had to be a man taller than me because the voice didn't sound like it was coming from the Obelisk 5.
Yeah.
And I was holding the Obelisk 5 at my hand, waist level, while I was walking. And when I turned around, the guy had his kind of fist balled up. And I said, it wasn't me, it was the Obelisk 5. And he just kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And she just kind of grabbed me by the arm and said, come on.
Yeah.
But she said something like, that wasn't nice. But that's all the Obelisk 5 said was check her out.
Yeah.
But it was like the Obelisk 5 got me in trouble.
Yeah.
And it really baffled me because I didn't think it was coming from the Obelisk 5.
Right.
I thought someone had walked up behind me. And I thought, where'd that guy come from? He must have been walking fast. And, of course, they heard it, too.
Oh,
and
my
they
gosh.
thought it was coming from me, but
Oh,
it wasn't.
no.
So be careful when you have your Obelisk 5 out because the ghosts of spirits, believe me, they're going to use your Obelisk 5. If you're not asking a question that they care about, they're going to use that Obelisk 5. And if they see something that they care about, they're going to make a comment. But, I mean, I didn't say anything to the young lady. I just was really surprised that the Obelisk 5 did that.
Yeah, that's too funny.
But he could have got me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you could have got thrown down. He could have beat the tar out of you or something.
And it looked like that's what he's about ready to do. So if you're going out on a walk with Obelisk 5, make sure you turn it off when you get tired. Because if the Obelisk 5 says something that upsets somebody, you might have to defend yourself.
Right. Yeah. That's a good note right there. Always be prepared to defend yourself when you have the Obelisk 5.
And it won't be from, negative ghosts or spirits. It'll be from someone
actual humans.
Doesn't understand that you're using a piece of equipment that has a mind of its own.
Right. Yes. All right. Let's see here. I've got some more questions here. I'm just trying to read it.
Another thing I wanted to, before we leave, there's so many things like this that happen that, I could just go on forever, but I wanted to cover the 1880 Victorian. I did get written permission to do paranormal research there, and it was during Florida's period of when they had the lockdown. So it was great because there were very few people around, and it was like I was the only game in town. So the ghosts of spirits were talking to me.
Oh, nice.
I would imagine most ghosts of spirits would rather, be out and about looking at attractive young ladies in the lacy type, white short dress than talking to a paranormal investigator like me.
Right.
So the bottom line is when there's no one else in town during this lockdown in Florida, I made good use of it by doing paranormal research at the 1880. And I even saw a young lady that no one can account for. And I actually was talking to the young lady in front of the owner, and the owner answered me.
Oh, my gosh.
And I just got quiet. And anyway, I didn't realize that the young lady wasn't a younger – I thought it was his daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And I met his daughter later on. I was there for about 2 months, So I met his daughter before I left. And when I met his daughter, I said, "What about your other daughter?" And then he just looked at me like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
This young lady would always be with the three family members, and she'd always sit there quietly and just smile like she had a secret and was about ready to giggle and laugh about it.
Right.
And I think it's because she knew I could see her.
Yeah.
But no one else could. And one thing, me and the family members, everyone had a good suntan, because in Florida, you're not going to last too long without a suntan unless you stay in all the time.
Right.
But this young lady was very, very pale skin. So
that's
anyway.
Weird. Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, one time I tried to shake her hand. I thought she was one of the family members, and I introduced myself to her when she was by herself.
Oh, right.
And somehow she avoided shaking hands. I think she mentioned something about because of the lockdown, she didn't feel comfortable shaking hands. But anyway, I feel that she was paranormal and was a ghost or spirit that only I could see.
Right.
And I think that's the reason why she laughed so much.
Oh, yeah.
She was just tickled that I could see her. But at the same time, she knew I didn't know that she wasn't part of the family.
Oh, yeah.
So
if
crazy. There's ever a lockdown, which I hope there's never one again,
right?
But you can get some place where there's not too many people. Your paranormal will go up. You're going to get a lot more responses,
right?
And a lot of different things are going to happen. Like at the 1880, on the second floor front porch, I was doing a paranormal session, and I was sitting in the one rocking chair. I guess you could say the rocking chair on the right-hand side as you face the chairs. And on the left-hand side, I stood up to scan the room, and the left side of the left rocking chair, the arm was cold. And as I moved my thermal imager and then would go up close and then go back, and I actually felt it with the back of my hand, and it actually felt cold. And there was no reason why that wood should feel cold, because the arm on the right side felt kind of lukewarm. I mean, it must have been at least probably 80 degrees that day, if not 85.
Right.
So the wood, even though it was in the shade, it's not going to feel that cold. And I was able to pick up the cold area on the thermal imager, and it was just part of that one arm. And it actually moved along the arm. It didn't stay stagnant in one spot. So that was another interesting thing.
Yeah.
And another highlight about the 1880 was the third floor back room. I was doing a paranormal research because there's a front room, but the back room is like a living room. And I had to plug my video recorder in to the wall because a ghost of spirits, they were draining my batteries.
Oh, yeah.
So once it plugged in, the camera would not work. So I was like losing footage. I was doing an entire paranormal session, about 45, 60 minutes, and there was nothing there because the camera would go dead, and I wasn't close enough to check it because it was like a wide view of me sitting there doing the paranormal session. So I had to plug my camcorder into the wall, and in doing so, I had to run the wire or the electrical cord across the door. I locked the door so no one could get in. And as I was going back, for instance, like I was sitting on the couch, and in front of me on the table was my camcorder. As I was going back to sit down, I heard like boing. And when I turned around, the cord was like going up and down, fluttering up and down. It didn't pull it out of the plug, but the plug was almost pulled out. It was like partially pulled out and leaning.
Uh-huh.
So it was almost like a ghost of spirit said, you shouldn't plug this in front of a door, even though I had locked it so no one could come in.
Uh-huh.
So that was unusual. And, of course, the camera angle was aimed at my back before I turned around and not at the, actual wire to catch it. But when I turned around, I could see it just going up and down. I would say at least 2 to 3 inches in each direction. So, that shows you there that ghosts and spirits can actually physically do stuff, but usually it's minor things. That's probably the most physical activity I've gotten out of a ghost ever that I remember.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Did you say you had some questions from fans?
Well, I have some questions here too, and then we'll get to those as well here real quick.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Trying to get caught up here. I had to have Kim write some down because I was running out of room on my stuff. We have so many in chat, but I do have some questions here. Now, I know you use the obelisk, and I know you use the flare gun. Do you ever use a recorder? Like a digital recorder?
I guess I could try it in the future, but I don't, mainly because...
Oh, we lost your sound.
Lost the sound?
There you go. There you go. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Anyway, my hearing's not that good, so, if I'm dependent on sound alone, I might not even hear that the ghost had said something.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I don't.
Okay, gotcha.
Use the recorder.
Okay.
As far as doing EVP.
Piece, yeah. What is one piece of equipment that you would like to own?
Well, it's been a couple years ago, but I was watching a certain paranormal program on cable TV, and they had a piece of equipment that's able to measure very small packets of energy. I guess you could say light or electromagnetic energy, but it's not thermal imaging. So anyway, if I could afford it, I would like to get that piece of equipment. I used to have it written down. I probably did write the name down, but it's probably on one of my old calendars from 2 or 3 years ago. But I don't remember the piece of equipment. But I looked it up. It was very expensive. I think it was like around, $10,000. It was...
Oh, holy crap. It's not cheap, is it?
It was out of my range.
Oh, my goodness. That's crazy.
If I get a TV program someday, I'll ask the company if I could borrow it.
Yeah.
I think that's what they did to the group that was using it.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like advertisement.
There you go. Yeah. For sure. All right, so let's see here. So I know you go around places in Florida, but do you have a bucket list or some place that you'd like to go? Oh, I think we lost him.
I think we lost him.
Yeah, he's gone.
Phone him back and see if we can get him back on.
Well, let me try to call him here again. I'm not sure where he went. All of a sudden, I was talking and he was gone. Let's try it again here.
It wouldn't be our show.
Nope. All right, let's try it again.
Oh.
Are we back?
All right, there we go. Yeah, I was talking, and the next thing I know, I look up and you're gone. I didn't know where you went.
You can still see me, but it was like you frozen up and it made some type of noise, and then
Oh.
I can still see me, and I can still.
Yeah, I can see you.
What was the question you were asking?
Okay, so the question I asked was that I know that you have been doing investigations around the Florida area, but is there somewhere in particular, like on a bucket list, that you would like to go?
Oh gosh, yeah, it would be nice to do any type of old Victorian home, or any old home in any in all 50 states of the United States. I would like to. I like to go to places that aren't well known. I like to stay away from hospitals and prisons because I would imagine there's a lot of just negative residual energy there. And I like to go to places that were well loved, like the old Victorian homes that stayed in the family for like 100 years, because there's a lot of love when the same family owns the home. And I like to pick up on that.
Right.
And I like to go to places that aren't well known and old places. And I think that ghosts of spirits love to go to any place that they loved. I find Paranormal Activity is always good at the beach, whether there's a building there or not, because I think ghosts of spirits they hang out wherever they enjoyed hanging out when they were alive.
Yeah, that is true. I can see that too. You know, if you have a favorite place or something, you might want to stick around there. But there's times where I feel like, why is a person stuck here? Because it's not like ideal, but you never know. There might be something there that's keeping them there too. Which is interesting.
I think that ghosts of spirits can come and go from heaven to earth. I don't think they're trapped or that they failed to get into heaven. I've done paranormal research at homes where if I say, your grandfather's a guardian angel, they'll say, oh my, that can't be. He got into heaven. And a lot of people, depending on their belief systems, they think if you're a earthbound ghost that you failed to get into heaven. And I think if once you pass away, your soul is electromagnetic energy, and electromagnetic energy can almost travel the speed of light. So I think ghost spirits can travel back and forth from heaven to earth in, a matter of seconds.
Yeah, it's a possibility. You just never know, but it is a possibility. All right, let's see here. I do hear, I think one of our guests was saying they hear a dog. I think it's Kim's dog whimpering. I hear it. All right. So we're going to get to some questions here from chat. One of them is...
Can't read your own writing.
No. What is your favorite location to investigate and would be good for somebody who's just starting out?
Well, if you can get permission to investigate a Victorian home, I find they're the best places because most of them were owned by rather wealthy people, and they would pass the house down to whoever inherited it. So it stayed in the family for at least 100 years, most Victorian homes. And, you have that type of love. Wherever you've lived for a long period of time and you consider it home, you're kind of, I hate to use the word attached to it, but attached in a good way, like you would be attached to your favorite wife or your favorite family member, your best friend, or attached to going to the beach on vacation, attached in a positive way. So if you go to a place like that, you're going to get good activity.
Yeah.
If you go to a place where you have some type of ideal who lived there, then you can ask an intelligent question about, maybe this was Mr. Jim's house. So you can say, Mr. Jim, are you here today? And if you know Mr. Jim was a painter, you could say, Mr. Jim, what did you like to paint? Were you an artist or did you paint rooms in people's homes?
Right.
You could ask intelligent questions. And if you know the name of the person that lived there, you might be able to find an article in the newspaper that would give some indication. They might have advertised in the newspaper, Jim's painting service, and give his phone number and address if somebody wanted to contact him to paint their house. So that makes the paranormal more interesting. If you can zero in on a person, ask them questions about their job, and ghosts of spirits are going to readily respond to you if you talk about something that they're interested in. If you're just out there, don't know who lived there, and you're going to have to randomly ask questions until you ask something that a ghost or spirit is interested in.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. A lot of times, Kim and I, when we go into a location, sometimes if they're not really interacting with us, we'll have our own conversation. And then they're kind of like, hey, I'm here too. Then they'll make their presence known. So that's kind of interesting too. All right, let's see here. We have another question from chat. What is your favorite location to investigate?
Well, I would say again, Victorian homes for inside. If I'm outside, I think the beach, because you have a lot of, say, emotional energy of people having fun. And also swimming pools would be a close second, because I've really got a lot of paranormal activity at swimming pools. Wherever people are emotionally charged, there's going to be residual energy. It may not be intelligent, but even if you get residual energy, that's good too.
Right. Yeah. All right, let's see here. We have another question here. What scares you the most of the paranormal?
I would say what has scared me the most would probably be the situation with the obelisk 5B. If you're out in public, you kind of have lost control.
Right.
But sometimes you're eager to do paranormal research, and if you can't get written or verbal permission, you have to go where you can.
Right.
But I would say that was probably the most scariest thing, because, I figured, well, I'm about to be clobbered because of something that the obelisk 5 said.
Right.
So... and that didn't involve ghosts or spirits. So, I worry sometimes when I see people going out into old abandoned buildings at night to do paranormal research. And, suppose there's a bee nest and they're killer bees.
Right.
And suppose they say, I think I heard something. And they pull a piece of wood and it disturbs these killer bees and they get stung to death. That's what worries me. I would like to see people do research in a home that's been well kept, so you're not going to fall through the floor at night when you're walking around.
Right.
Or there's not going to be a rat or something come out of the wall and maybe bite you.
Right.
So I would say just play it safe. There's probably more out there to fear by just a living animal or person. Even stepping on a nail in a old building or stepping on something sharp if you trip and fall in the dark. Because a lot of times you're reacting to the ghost of spirit and you might back and trip over something and hit your head.
Yeah, that's true.
And I do most of my paranormal research during the day. I do some at night, but I like to sleep at night. I like to do it during the day because if ghosts or spirits, if they manipulate anything, it's going to be so minute that you're going to miss it if you're in the dark. You're not even going to see it or notice it.
Right. That is true. Especially, when you're in those abandoned locations, you really have to be careful because you never know what kind of state they are in.
Yes.
All right. Another question here from chat is it difficult to write about the paranormal?
No, it's not difficult to write, but proofreading and stuff like that is not fun.
Oh, I bet not.
And I was able to get a program. I'm trying to think of the name of it. But it was a program where I could actually talk it and it would type it for me. It washed away during Hurricane Michael, so I don't have it. But I think it was relatively inexpensive. It was somewhere between maybe $100 a year or less than $200 a year. And then you could get it through Microsoft, and then but it was another company. But they just have to know, that Microsoft is the, is, I guess you could say, the controlling part of your computer, depending on what type of computer you have. But I was able to just mainly talk everything in. But if you say two, that software might put down TO and it might put TOO or it might put TWO. So you had to go back and proofread everything.
Yeah.
And as far as saying the word obelisk, the way obelisk, the company that makes the obelisk 5B, the way they spell it is somewhat different than the way we spell the ancient obelisks that are kind of tall and pointy. So the obelisk, the software was spelling the obelisk 5 wrong as far as using it for the way I was using it, as far as talking about the paranormal equipment. So that's another thing about writing a book if you use the software. So I think getting your experiences down is wonderful. And it's fun to share that with people. And working on the Hayes House was a wonderful place to do paranormal research because you had the Buck family that's still remaining there as a guardian angel to the house. And you also had members of the Hayes family that stayed there. And I'm not sure if they're there all the time, but they're there off and on.
Right.
And they look after the Hayes House. And that's the best place to do paranormal research. And I was just so happy to have a house like that to write about.
Right.
But I think if you have that continuity of having 6 or 7 ghosts or spirits that are there on a continuous basis throughout your paranormal research, it makes the book even more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you have, are you thinking about writing another book at all?
Well, I think about it, but ever since the COVID-19 virus, I would say anyone who buys a paranormal book tends to be more working class. And I don't get too many people that are very wealthy who are fans or even interested in the paranormal. And during this COVID-19, the working class got hit pretty hard.
Right.
And so writing a book right now is probably not the best thing to do financially unless I was financially set, which I'm not. So it might be something that I would do in the future. I've thought about different topics, like maybe writing about, what I feel and think about vampires. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I often wondered if the young lady I saw at the 1880 was somewhat of a vampire type figure because of her very light skin and her mischievous laugh. I mean, I might be wrong to feel that way. She might have just been a young ghost or spirit who was pranking me and was having a good time because I could see her and no one else could.
Right.
But it makes you wonder, and I truly believe vampires are not just all cut from the same cloth. There's different types and probably different species of vampires that can do different things. I know some can become a bat and some can, utilize their will over your will to get you to do things or whatever. And, I think that there's probably different types of vampires, and I would like to maybe pursue something like that. And the next book is going to be very short, maybe 100, 200 pages.
Right.
Because we still publish it's more pages. So for anyone thinking about self-publishing, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Unless you have deep pockets.
Right. Yeah, I bet.
And most people can afford to spend $10 on a book. But when your book is like $23, $24 plus tax,
right?
They might want to buy it, but at the end of the month, they might not have enough money. And then whatever money they have, they're not going to save it for next month. They're going to spend it on what they can afford.
Right.
So I would say my next book will probably be between 100 and 150 pages, not 430 pages like the Hayes House. But
right.
The Hayes House was so unique. I didn't want to leave anything out. I wanted to include every room of the Hayes house, which it was like, 20 rooms?
Something like that, yeah.
Because there's each chapter is actually a room in the Hayes house.
Right, yeah.
Now, the first chapter is just me talking about the Buck family, because I wasn't really sure how the Buck family used the Hayes house.
Right.
So, but starting with the second chapter, I did it in chronological order of the dates that I did the paranormal investigations. And I would give like a brief history of how the Hayes family used the room.
Right.
And then I would actually do my paranormal research like a court transcript, putting everything down. Everything I said, everything I heard, data from the instruments. And then I would end with an analysis of the data that I received from my paranormal research of that room. And then I follow through. Each chapter is about in the same basic order.
Okay, very nice. All right, let's see here. I think we have time for another question here. Okay, so this is a different one. If you have seen if you were to see a full body apparition, who would you like to see?
I guess Benjamin Franklin would be nice to talk to. He's actually a relative of mine.
Oh, wow, that's
cool.
My
grandfather's mother was a Franklin. And I would like to I'd like to talk to him because he runs circles around me. That guy was so fantastic. He was an inventor, and so anyway, I would say there's many, but I would say if I had to pick one, he would be the one I would like to meet and talk to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be interesting.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay. All right. Would you ever use a haunted location for a paranormal research center to test out any new equipment or experiments?
Oh, yes. If I had permission to use a location,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to test out new equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So far, no one's contacted me about it, but that would be interesting.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's see here if there's any last questions here. Before, I think we've gotten through all of them. We had quite a few questions, so thank you, everybody, for hopping in there and asking your questions. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or anything in the works, or any places you're going to be going to investigate next, or?
Well, I'd like to bring up. I did several sessions at Dr. John Gorey's grave in
Yeah.
Appalachicola, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and that was fun. I was taking at first. I took the millimeter and the obelisk 5B,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to the point where I just took the obelisk 5B.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have one piece of equipment, it's like all the ghosts of spirits zero in on that piece of equipment.
Uh-huh.
And if you start from session 1, paranormal short session 1 at Dr. John Gorey's grave in Apalachicola, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and then work your way through, you will see that when I started to just take the obelisk 5B,
Mm-hmm.
that I got a lot more activity, a lot more ghosts of spirits were choosing words.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it makes it interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting to do. Now, you have a YouTube channel. Do you want to kind of tell everybody where they can find you so they can watch some of your...
Yes, my YouTube channel, the name is Paranormal Short Sessions by Keith Evans. Mm-hmm. I did that because there's probably 20 Keith Evanses on YouTube.
Right.
So everyone was complaining that they would have to search and they would think they found me, but it wasn't me.
Uh-huh.
So I've tried searches on YouTube, and I've not done well.
Mm-hmm.
Most people I search for, I can't find. Nothing comes up.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of people who have liked me or followed me or whatever the term is on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I try to do the same, and I can't find them.
Oh, that's crazy.
That.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It makes me feel bad. So I don't know. I've clicked on every button I know. Do you know a short way of finding people?
I do not, because you know what? I have a hell of a time, too, trying to search for people on there. So if they send me links, that's the easiest way for me to find it. So if you'd put that as your handle on your Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, if you put it up in your profile, then they can click on that, and so they should be able to go directly to your page, your YouTube.
Okay. That's a good idea.
So that would be the best thing, because otherwise, I have a heck of a time searching for people. I'm like, okay. So then I just go and I look for a link for them, and then I click on that, because that's the easiest route by far.
Well, I hope people can find my, find me under Paranormal Short Sessions by Keith Evans, because I probably have been putting up, I even have some from the 1880 Victorian in St. Augustine. I haven't put all of them up. Okay. I actually started putting them on there, I don't know, maybe May or April, and I got distracted and never got back to it. But, I wanted to say this. Do we have some time?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
At the 1880, I think I may have caught the young lady who at first I thought was the owner's daughter.
Right.
Who later on I thought may be a vampire.
Oh, yeah.
I think I caught her on camera.
Oh, wow.
Because one day, since the owner had given me written permission, I figured, well, I'll just invite a family member to join me.
Right.
So the young lady was there, and I went out and I said, hey, I'm going to do paranormal research. Would you like to join me? And I'd never seen a person get so nervous in my life. She kind of smiled and said, not right now. No, that wouldn't be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that at the time I either had my camcorder or my camera, and I think I caught her, and I'm hoping I did. I may have not.
Yeah.
But if I did, it'd be interesting to see if I was talking to thin air or what she looked like.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I just haven't had time.
Right.
You wouldn't believe how busy I am. Sometimes I try to, advertise on social media, Facebook and Instagram, and also YouTube. And just putting stuff on can take up an hour or two.
Right.
And then I try to respond to all my fans if they have a question, or if they respond to any of my videos or my posts that I have on social media. And I usually spend, between those two things, I spend probably 3 or 4 hours on social media a day. And then I spend at least an hour or two trying to do some type of paranormal research each day if I have time.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that does fill up your time, your days, too.
Yes.
Yes. So, all right. Before we start wrapping things up here, I'm going to give quick shout outs to everybody who was in chat. We had Kim, we had myself, we had Matt, Darren, Nico, Allie, and Shay were all there. So thank you, everybody who was in chat and participating. And thank you for everybody who was not in chat listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we will share Keith's information. So if you guys aren't following him, you can. Or if you want to check out his YouTube, I'll post those links within the next couple of days. So be checking our pages out for those. We'd like to thank our awesome guest, Keith Evans, for being on again. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks. Can I do a short plug of my book?
Yes, absolutely. Go for it.
The Hayes House Ghost for People 2 is only available online at Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and Second & Charles. And I've also been told that you can get it on Walmart, online at Walmart.
Okay.
So check it out if you like to read. And it is set up so that each chapter is like a mini book. So don't be afraid because it's 430 pages.
Right.
As long as you can read 30 or 40 pages, each chapter is like a mini book.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. I've read it. It's a very good book. So go check it out. And like I said, thanks again for being on, Keith. And then make sure you guys tune in next week. We have Lionel Friedberg on. He is an Emmy award-winning film and TV producer and writer. So that's going to be an awesome show. He's going to talk about some shamanism and UFOs and things like that. And then also, Kim and I will be on the Wolf and Hound show on YouTube next Wednesday, 8/7 Central. So if you guys aren't following Wolf and Hound, go check them out on YouTube. And we'll be live on their show on YouTube on Wednesday. And once again, thank you, Keith, for being on. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thank you for listening to REP Paranormal and Friends. Be sure to check out Kim and Allison on Facebook at REP Paranormal Busters.